And then we're doing kind of, as you were saying, which is, I think, the best type of learning, is letting one of the Kickstarter coaches be a client. And once they're the client and the new person training in is the coach, we ask the coaches in a nice way to make it a bit difficult. Oh, my back is sore. My legs are sore from the day before. And it's fun. And the lads enjoy doing it. But once you've done that once with the coach, it's the next time is easier. The next time is easier. Whereas if you're just thrown on the floor after getting a piece of paper and then a client comes in and you haven't faced these difficult situations in the beginning, then it's not. It's like you'll either freeze or you don't do it the right way, or you'll be kicking yourself, start hitting a lot of like pain points. Oh, this isn't for me. Whereas if you have the experience is integral. Is really, really, really important. But the way we do it, 40 years at it, we know, like, we've helped tens of thousands of people down through the years, as you know yourself from being a major part of the gym back in the day as well. It's a community, it's a vibe, you know, and that's what we want to pass on.
Hey everybody, welcome to a very special episode of the podcast. This is actually going up on both podcasts, the Brian Keane podcast as a bonus episode, and it's also going up on the Fitness Business podcast with Brian Keane as a primary episode. We are going to talk today, and I'm here with a special guest, somebody who is actually the brainchild, I'm not sure if brainchild is the correct word, of the idea of culminating and putting together a personal training qualification with the business coaching element where I come in. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about how to become a qualified personal trainer in 2025. And if you are someone that would like to do this as a career, or there's a lot of you listening who would like to just educate yourself on physiology, on fitness, on exercise anatomy, and everything in between, we're going to run through all of that in today's podcast. Bestie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Jason, talk to us a little bit about where this came from. So you in Galway City Gym had been doing this qualification, and just by chance and the universe kind of connected us again in terms of conversation, I was explaining to you, and just to give a bit of a backstory to people, that personal training certifications, qualifications, they're all pretty much the same, has been my generic advice. And I remember saying to you, before we even thought about collaborating on this, I was like, man, my business course or my personal training courses really missed out on the business side. I was like, there's loads of people who will study exercise, anatomy and physiology, which is the module 2 in the course. They'll talk about exercise physiology and the components of skill-related fitness in module 3. And they can be very, very similar. But what they lack is either real-life experience on a gym floor and or the business building side. I went broke twice when I qualified as a personal trainer because I didn't know how to run the business. Talk to us a little bit about how this is different, because this happened very organically, where I said, man, try and put this into your course. It's what they're all missing. And you're like, actually, would you do that? Would you come in and do the business side? I was like, yes, 100%. This makes so much sense. Talk to us a little bit about how this course is different.
Yeah, so when it came to the course, the reason being it mainly came from was sitting in the office interviewing people day in, day out for nearly 10 years, and people having their paperwork but no experience. So trying to fill positions with people on the gym floor, training clients, or people operating the gym. And it was kind of ubiquitous. It was everywhere. Everyone that came in, I have the paperwork, but I don't have any experience. Can you take me on? Can you take me on? So it left me with kind of a job at that point where I nearly had to fulfill the role of training the person in afterwards. And I was kind of going, how can I solve this in such a way that it makes perfect sense for me personally and the gym and the client? So what we started doing, obviously, is we ran a few people through training clients, showing them how to operate the floor. But it was a very ground level approach. I was kind of going, is there not something out there that someone could get this together? So it was a problem that was everywhere from that. So from there, what we did was we took on a couple of coaches, ran them through a program we have called the Kickstarter, where they get 2 PTs a week with a client.
This is through the gym?
Through the gym.
Yeah.
And like we got great success in training people in. So like they were great coaches, but they couldn't get in front of people. And it was just like, I could see it in their eyes every time. It was just always the same. It was like, I have the paperwork, but I can't get the experience. So what we decided to do then is I was thinking, like, why don't we partner up with somebody for education so that once they do that, at the same time, the gym is a non-for-profit gym. So with that nature, they can volunteer. So they could come in and do hours on the floor while getting the education, so that when they get the paperwork, they were ready to go. That in itself created another problem, which was how do they get their own clients, which is where our conversation came up. So it's like a stool. three legs on the stool: the paperwork, the experience, and then the actual business knowledge in order how to get clients, retain clients. And that's where you came in. And it was magic just when it clicked.
It really was, because what you mentioned there, it brought me right back to when I qualified first in 2011 or 2012, when I got my level 3 personal training qualification initially. And I had the exact problem you mentioned there, that when I was trying to go in to get a gym to hire me, I had no experience. I had paperwork but no experience. So I had to rent out my own space in gyms, which anyone will tell you overheads equal debt in a business. When you don't have any clients, you have an obligation to pay, and I think it was £660 a month, and I had no clients. I was supplementing this as a primary school teacher, doing this personal training business on the side, hence why we broke twice. And when I did my qualification, and it was in London, and the Irish-based ones and actually global are nearly all identical, there was no gym floor experience. There was a method where if you were an attendee or a member of the qualification, I'm not sure the correct terminology, and I was there, I would take you through an hour-long session, you take me through an hour-long session, and then the heads, lecturers, teachers, etc. would mark how you went through the session. That was the only gym experience I got, which is a real artificial setup for how working with actual clients would generally be. And it makes it really nerve-wracking to take a real client then after that, because you've no experience with it. So what you were doing, and what made me interested in coming on board with this, is you were solving that problem. Straight away I went, oh my God, I needed that. That's such a great thing. And then the conversation evolved into, actually, Bestie, people are going to struggle with the business side, because I had the qualifications. I was very passionate about fitness. I was arguably a decent personal trainer, not a great one, but a decent one, because I had been going to the gym for 10 years at that point. But I didn't understand how a business ran. I didn't know where my clients were coming from. I didn't know how to get clients. I didn't understand marketing. I didn't understand advertising. I didn't understand referral schemes. I didn't understand how to build up a case study or testimonies, all these things that are going to be the lifeblood of business. So that's where I come in, because in August, we're recording this and it's going out quite close to the August date, but every quarter we are doing a business builder where I'm coming in for the day and I'm going to run people through business. And what's unique about this, and this was a beautiful conversation we had, that every builder is going to be different, because we're using the cohort at the time to merge where the content goes. So they're going to send in their problems, send in their questions, and then the content's going to be tailored. So no 2 days are going to be identical. Talk to us a little bit from what you've seen firsthand on where personal trainers and online coaches, because people will do this, they'll go either a personal trainer in their own location, they might come down to the city gym to do experience because you have a great setup on this, which we'll get into in a moment, or they might do online or a combination. What have you seen firsthand that a lot of personal trainers struggle with? Is it the client acquisition, the lead generation, or is it something else? What have you seen most in your space?
Mainly when we have people that go through it, once they have the paperwork and the experience, it's getting started. It's the ground level foundational stuff. Most other places, it's like a qualification and a shrug. Off you go. Yeah. You find your own way. But like, even with the lads that have went through the Kickstarter program and trained as a coach with us, what's happened there is they've got all the experience on the floor. But then where do they go digitally? It's just an absolute minefield. As you said, like, you're top of the pile for organic stuff. I've put a lot of time and effort into learning all the paid stuff, but it's systems and building. Once they have the skill, it's like having a restaurant and you have an unbelievable dish, but how do you get the customer to the door? If you've no good sign out the front, if you've no marketing going, if you're building it through word of mouth, through organic, but you have to get those first few people in. So it's 0 to 1 is a huge problem. And then with the way that online training is gone, it's apps and it's this and it's that. People are getting caught up in the fluff of it and really not getting into the foundation of getting a client, getting a result, getting a photo, getting something tangible that they can show that they can do this. So it's all the foundational beginning stuff from a digital point of view that you've that well nailed down and have for over a decade now. That's it. They really, really struggle with that.
Especially the online side, because that's, as you mentioned, a minefield. I've got one of my business mentees at the minute, Chris, who's a phenomenal personal trainer, very successful personal trainer, but moving online initially was very daunting, because there's apps and how do you do the check-ins and how do I track them and how do I know they're doing it? It's a completely different feeling. And we've set that up now and he's getting very successful in that space. And this is something we'll be covering at the Business Builder for those who want to go either straight online or a hybrid system where they're doing off and online coaching. But also talk about, this isn't going to be relevant for everybody, because you're going to have a portion of people listening from the Brian Keane podcast, another portion listening from the Fitness Business podcast with Brian Keane, and they're going to be just interested in getting the qualification for themselves. I have a lot of people who do my certified nutrition course who I assumed when I created that course, it was going to be personal trainers, coaches doing it to work with people. But what happened was a large majority doing that course were everyday gym goers who were like, well, actually, I'm really confused about reverse dieting or the ketogenic diet or how energy systems work. I'm just doing it for me. I don't plan to work with anybody. So that you'll have a handful of people with this who were just interested in biomechanics and strength training and movement preparation and warm-ups correctly and movement screening and assessments for themselves. And by all means, you can do the course for that. With those who actually want the hand-on experience, who are potentially in Galway, because some will be from other counties, they're not necessarily going to move to Galway to get the experience, but some will be within driving distance of Galway City. Talk to them about the option of potentially coming in. And I love that you're doing this, where you're basically, with the Kickstarter, giving people clients, when they're qualified, they're getting paid, they show up, so they're getting experience, they're getting paid, and they don't have to worry about the client acquisition side. And it ends up helping Galway City Gym because you've got a higher level of member retention, people are working with a trainer, they're getting better results, they're referring friends, and all this good stuff that's coming with it. Talk to us a little bit about that option for those who are like, okay, great, I'm going to get the qualification, I'm going to learn about the business on and offline with Brian, amazing, but I'd love to have a little bit of a shortcut into working with people. Talk to them about that option.
So with that option now, but we've already went through this with a few people as well. So what they're doing is on the 2 weekends that they come and they're in person, some of them are coming a day earlier and leaving a day later. And they're getting a split of experience on actually, there's two different roles in the gym. Operating the gym, which is bread and butter stuff, and then there's training clients. So as a non-for-profit, we obviously have the option to bring people in and let them volunteer. So what they're doing is, if they're not in Galway or not in Ireland, they're coming in on the Friday, we're arranging for them to shadow the Kickstarter coaches so that they actually get to see what it's like. It's like people getting the paperwork without getting the experience. It's like lying on a surgery table with a surgeon who's learned from a book but has never actually put hands on a client. It's not what you want. You need the mannerisms, you need all the good stuff that's needed, because you can be a phenomenal coach, but if you can't get in front of a client, it's a different thing. So what we're doing is, locally, people can volunteer as much or as little. It's completely up to them. They're the captain of the ship. They don't have to do any of it. But if they do want experience, we can give them as much experience on the gym floor with clients, shadowing the Kickstarter coaches, or behind the counter. And if you're not from Galway, what we're doing is we're going, come in a day early. Brian's workshop is on Saturday. Come in on Friday. We'll pair you up with one of the Kickstarter coaches on Friday evening. You can shadow them as they coach. And then we're doing kind of, as you were saying, which is, I think, the best type of learning, is letting one of the Kickstarter coaches be a client. And once they're the client and the new person training in is the coach, we ask the coaches in a nice way to make it a bit difficult. Oh, my back is sore, my legs are sore from the day before. And it's fun and the lads enjoy doing it. But once you've done that once with the coach, it's the next time is easier. Whereas if you're just thrown on the floor after getting a piece of paper and then a client comes in and you haven't faced these difficult situations in the beginning, then it's like you'll either freeze or you don't do it the right way, or you'll be kicking yourself, start hitting a lot of like pain points. Oh, this isn't for me. Whereas if you have the experience is integral. It's really, really, really important. But the way we do it, 40 years at it, we know, like, we've helped tens of thousands of people down through the years, as you know yourself from being a major part of the gym back in the day as well. It's a community, it's a vibe, and that's what we want to pass on, and it just so happens it benefits me because I get great staff that come in afterwards. Once they run through it for 18 months with me, if they are in person in there, they'll be off running their own business independently on the floor, bringing in their own clients, no longer needing me, especially with the help from you to show the systems getting started from a digital point of view or a hybrid point of view or even an in-person point of view. If you have not done it before, it's hard to even start. Because you go, do I use this app? Do I use that app? Do I do this app? Do I do it on Google Sheets? How do I plan? How do I program? You need to roll through it, but you need a system and a framework. And you're always wiser to go to somebody who's done it before and knows has been very successful with it, to get their recipe. And once you have that, you're flying. But there's a lot out there that are trying to pitch stuff like that, and it's not what it says it is. And I know this, because I've heard through people that have come in that are looking for jobs to try to do the digital side of it first before doing any hours on the floor. And it's a nightmare. They're kind of going, I spent $5,000 with this guy and $10,000 with this guy. And like, I've had 50 of these conversations that like, they're kind of going, I need to come back and get my base knowledge. Because how do you demonstrate a bent over row to somebody online if you haven't done it on the floor and know that Mary needs to tuck her elbows or whatever the cues are? You need a bit of everything.
You do. It's very interesting. Two things that I'm going to touch on there. There's actually three things, because the City Gym is where I started. That's where London and the UK is where I had my couple of failures. But when I made the third attempt, the City Gym was actually where I launched it. It's why it felt very connected to me, in the sense that this is 2014 when I was able to pop off and become a very successful trainer and coach. And then online, the City Gym was the seed for all of that. But it reminded me of my first session ever in London with a client, like you just said there, not having the experience. I was taking a guy to a taster session in Fitness First in Shepherd's Bush, and with the goal of signing them up off the back of it. And I'd never taken anyone. I should have, in hindsight, taken some friends and took them through some sessions so that I was able to do it. And I'd say this guy didn't know what hit him. It was a 30-minute taster session, and I blasted him. I was doing all these advanced techniques. He barely walked back to the consultancy room. And I was like, cool, we sign up. And he was like, oh, I'll get back to you, LC. And I never heard from that guy again, ever. And it was because I didn't know how to run the session. I was rushing it. I was running through it quickly. I wasn't talking to him about like his goals, his life. I was just like, right, I'm going to smash him on legs. And just, he'll get a good session and he'll sign up then. Amazing. First client. Never heard from him again. So there are things that you don't really think of when you're in the qualification process. It's kind of like the Yoga Berra quote that, theory and practice are the same in theory, but they're not in practice. Like that in theory could have worked for some people. In practice, it was terrible, and I never saw that client again. And what I wanted to ask on this, because you'll have people who want to do a course like this, they'll come down for the full day business builder, which is every quarter. The first one's going to be in August, the next one's going to be in November at some point, and then whether it's February or March next year, they're going to be different every time. And what's very interesting, I've got, Elaine has signed up for this. So Elaine is one of my circle members in my online group coaching. And when you sign up for the year in mine, you get a 1 hour one-to-one call with me, but I'm actually meeting Elaine early on that day, and we're going to go through her one-to-one in person before she does the business builder in August, which should be really, really fun, and I'm excited for her. But for those that are listening, who, like Elaine, who's actually working full-time at the minute and building this out as her side hustle because it's her passion, it's her curiosity, it's the thing she's like, I would jump out of bed and do this for free. Talk to us about the online aspect of the course and how people can run through it, because one of the barriers to entry with a lot of personal training courses is they have to be in a certain place at a certain time regularly. And although there is an in-person element to this in terms of the meetings, the graduations, the builders, etc., a lot of this course, if not all, if I'm not mistaken, can be done online. Talk to us about that aspect, that how the completion time, how people are going to consume it themselves and actually work through it if they are doing this part-time. And some will be doing this full-time, this is going to be their gig, and others will be doing it because they're interested in it, and others will be doing it as part of a side hustle like Elaine. Talk to us a little bit about the actually coming through the course and what qualification they get out the end.
Yeah, so when it comes to the actual paperwork, most of the content that's in these courses is similar. Not all exactly the same, there is better and worse, but they have to cover certain bases in order to get through it. The biggest thing when it comes to this is who it's registered with. So like ours is with REPS, which is internationally recognized, and the end goal of it is to get insured and to have a piece of paper that's not something that's gotten a lucky bag, or got over.
There's a few of those too.
Yeah, way too many of those. So that is the biggest angle with it. With our one, we paired up with our education partner in Dublin. They have probably 8,000 people put through this qualified now. The fact that it was hit with REPS is a very, very, very big one. And we've ran our weekends now where we've seen what the lads are like in person down here, and their coaching style and how compassionate they are is unbelievable. From an education point of view, that's what I had. I had a problem when I was getting my one. It was, I can't be here or at that place every Wednesday because you'd have to take a day off work, or every Saturday for the next 12 weeks. So that was a big constraint with people actually giving it a go. So with ours, as you were saying, we run the weekends every quarter. It doesn't matter when you do it. Same with the content. In order to get ready for the weekends, you need to do the 120 hours of content, really in depth, gives you all the knowledge you need, but it's pause and play. I've had people that sat down and went Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 for 3 weeks and absolutely blasted through the 120 hours and loved every minute of it. And then once that's done, then we get you to book in for your graduation weekend, which is the practical weekend of the PT course. And of course, your weekend can be done at any point.
So if people sign up to this today and it's Saturday we're doing it, they can sign up. It's just that you won't have completed your 120 hours.
That's it. Yeah. So yours is perfect because in essence, I think if I could pick the way I'd want someone to do it, I'd probably want them to start the content and then get your weekend in so they could be starting to build up their channel and get all the nuts and bolts in behind, run through the knowledge and come and graduate on the graduation weekend. Elaine is a perfect example, like lovely, she's on the phone, ready to go.
I love Elaine. Elaine was actually a one-to-one client for a very long time, and then we built up a friendship, and now she's in the circle, so I'm doing the business coaching with her. A wonderful human being.
Yeah, a 5-minute call, 2 text messages, 5 minutes on the phone, let's go. And actually, within, I think, 4 or 5 weeks of her signing up, we were running one of the graduation weekends. I dropped her a message and she was like 5% off or 10% off being there. But she decided to leave it and get it finished out and do it. But she's coming to the next one in the Business Builder in August and the next graduation weekend in November. Typical, exactly like that. Life gets in the way. With the content, you can do an hour a day. You know, something comes up in life, you have lifetime access to the content. Even when the content gets edited or added to, you can keep going back to it because it is important. Some of the people that went through it have said, I want to go back on that module because I'm training a client that's very specific to X, Y, or Z. But if something pops up, you can stop. Nobody's going to be chasing you. So like I have someone who signed up for it probably 6 months ago. 10% of the way through, he knew he was going to be busy for the next while, but he's dipping into it for an hour every Sunday. That's all it is. So there's no pressure around time constraints. You can do it as you want, as fast or as slow as you want. No deadlines, no getting kicked out, everything is there for you. So like it took away a massive barrier because that's personally what I went through. I cannot say I'm going to be in X place for the next 12 Saturdays. You just can't do it. Work gets in the way, family, life occasions, you can't do it. But with this, the flexibility is just beautiful. Like you can do it as much or as little as you want.
That's such an important aspect of it as well, especially that you mentioned the kind of course and coming in and out of it. Like I'm going to a course at the minute with Ask About Wealth. So Paul is coming on the main podcast, Paul Overy, great stuff on finance. But like I knew when I signed up to that course, I'm not going to be able to do this for the next couple of months. I'm too busy. I have too many other things on, getting the circle launched, setting this up, a couple of things with the app for the fitness program. I knew I wasn't going to be able to come through it. But when you know you've got access to this over a long period of time, there'll be windows when you're able to be like, actually, I've got this weekend, I can come through it. I've got this, holiday booked and I can go through it, or I'm going to be on the plane for a while, I can, upload the video and have it ready, or when I'm waiting at the bus stop or in between stops for trains, whatever it is, and you can go through it in your own time and at your own pace. I think that's a big, big pull. With this as well, something that's very interesting for people is there is a nutrition element to it as well. So I think it's module 7. It goes through basic nutrition, calories, carbohydrates, fats, protein, micronutrients, nutritional strategies, etc. With the nutrition side, and it's you cover the topics and then you got the quiz at the end. We'll use the module 7 nutrition as an example. Talk through what it looks like in terms of somebody goes through the content and then they have a quiz at the end to see how they fared out based on that module. What does that process look like? Just so people can visualize in their mind, okay, I'm going to actually bang out a whole module this weekend, and then I've got the quiz at the end, as opposed to, right, bestie, I've come through a module, when's the examination, when's the test, like as opposed to the quiz style model, which I think is another very accessible part, as opposed to the examinations, which are basically just quizzes as well, where you have to be in a physical place at a physical time, and it's really annoying. Talk to us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, so when you jump into any of the modules, it's mainly video based, and they're done very engagingly, where it's not boring, and they're not done in big 2-hour long. So it's like 15-20 minutes, pick a topic, run through it, and as you go down through the topics and get to the end of the module, it's the quiz at the end of it is just a test to see how well your knowledge has been. If you don't get through if you don't pass it, you get to do it again. But it's just you testing you so that you know you have the information covered. The big thing is once you get down through all the modules, at the end of it, there's a case study that you prepare on an ideal client, and you run through the programming and planning of nutrition and training for those. And then once that's submitted, that's your online part is done. So you have the 120 hours done, you have the case study done. At that point then, that's not yet corrected, because the guys are very, very particular that when you come down and you're doing the in-person on the floor stuff at the graduation weekend, they give you an opportunity the next day to change your case study, because you could have learned something new in person. And that's when you're doing it in a group of people that are all in the same boat, you learn things off each other. It was really, really enjoyable to see other people going, oh, I took this from that and I took this from that. And then you get the last opportunity then to resubmit your case study if you want. So it's not final until then. And then once the guys check and go over your case study and you've passed the practical in person on the day, then that's it. Within a couple of weeks, you get your cert and you're qualified.
What's the process for signing up? For someone that is listening to this podcast, I'll obviously put the link in the description. And again, pricing wise, I always tell people this is the same with the circle, the same with course, the same with everything I ever launch. I'm like, I always tell people in business, don't put up prices because prices change. But the faster you act on something, the price is never going to go down.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think in the history of anything I've ever released or done, the price has gone down. It's always gone up. Like my one-to-one coaching, I think I started it at, I think €1,095. It's now at €2,500. So it's never going back to 1,095 ever. And courses and programs are exactly the same. So we won't get into the prices specifically, but for those, I can recommend the sooner you sign up, the lower the price is going to be. And you'll be pleasantly surprised, because this is, as of now, at the time of recording, and this is July 2025. If you're listening to this in July 2026 or 2027, there's a good chance this is going to be considerably higher, but it's very well priced in the sense that when you gave me the price, I'm like, that's very inexpensive for a personal training course of a level 3 or a level 4 qualification, because they go upwards of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 grand. And this is a fraction of that at the moment. But for those that are listening who want to go down this route, who have said or thought, okay, this is the course I want, either for themselves as a personal trainer, that they want to work in this space, they want to set up a side hustle, or it's just for themselves, they can click on a link. What's the process then? They chat to you, you talk them through everything from the payment schemes and the discount to sign up, payment of all up front, or the payment scheme model. What does that process look like, so people know what the next steps and what to have in mind for what's coming forward?
So yeah, somewhere around we'll end up having a call link to a calendar for a call with me. And then what I'd like to do on those calls is kind of dig a little bit deeper, see where the person is, where they want to go, what's in the middle, make sure it's a good fit.
Yes,
Yeah,
which I love.
Yeah, we have to make sure it's a good fit, because we don't want to take people on that aren't ready, or if it doesn't suit them, it doesn't suit them. So we'll always work on that. And then if they're ready to go, it could be a situation like the call with Elaine, 2 text messages, 5 minutes on the call, and she was in the course 10 minutes later. So we can get them onto the online course straight away. There's no problem at all. And as you're saying, yeah, pricing, it's a fraction of what it should be, considering everything we're comparing to currently just has one leg of the stool being the paperwork, where we've added the other 2 in being the experience and your
That's
business.
why and I don't mean to create fake urgency or scarcity for people, but it's going to go up. Like, based on what I charge for my mentorship, business consulting, the fact that there's and I mean this in a really nice way, I don't mean to sound like an absolute dickhead when I say this, but like if I was running a full day business builder, I would probably be charging close to per person what people get as part of the course, and it's already built into the course. So just to, again, without trumping my own horn, based on what I've done past-wise, it's very, very well priced at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. It's a steal. It's probably half one of the more expensive courses, and it's got you, and it's got the experience built in. And like, that's it, like, it's the only way to go, really, like, because otherwise you're going to be missing stuff when you're done. You're going to be missing the experience, or you're going to be missing how to start the business. And at that, like, I've sat in front of too many people that have been in that situation, that have spent like $5,000 on a course, and they're sitting in front of me kind of going, please, can you bring me along? And they could be the best coaches in the world, but it's very difficult to do something unless they've done something before. So like, even as you said earlier, like even training their friends or their auntie or their girlfriend's mother. It's good, but when it's a paying client, it's different.
It's different.
Because when you do something for free for somebody, because you're getting experience, they believe that they're doing you a favor. And what you get is flakiness. They're not showing up, they're not following the system. Whereas if they come in and do a session with a client through us, who's a paying client, you pay attention. And they're getting that from day one. And with your business builder as part of that, then by the end of it, they have the ability and skills that you and I have in order to get their own clients. So it's the only way to launch it. It really is.
It's what I said to you on day one was the whole model, my whole business model is based off this, is referrals, word of mouth, testimony. And I said to you on day one, because we were talking about the pricing and you were like, I know it's on the low side. And I was like, it's on the low side, but if we are putting everything into this, I want the model to be that they have everything they need. They have the paperwork, they have the experience, they have the business, because in 18 months' time, that's going to funnel people into my business mentorship. It's going to funnel people into the circle. It's going to be word of mouth and referrals for more people when they go, wow, look how successful this person is after they qualified and got their course. What course did you do? And they're like, look, do the Galway City Gym course with Brian Keane. It went through everything. We've built the whole model off that. I built my whole business off that. My whole business is built off people coming through, getting great results, and then either telling family members or friends, referrals, or using the testimonies and case studies online so that you've got more leads coming in on the top. I heavily believe in that model because it's a win-win-win. Everybody wins in that. People that are coming through get exactly what it is that they wanted because they've executed on the ideas in it. And then it ends up for you bringing in potentially more trainers into the City Gym, which fills a problem there. It means the people coming through it get everything they need to be successful in this space if it's what they want. And then it ends up funneling people into my business mentorship, my circle, my online business courses, because you become the person, or I become the person that they've got the like, know, and trust built with. They've seen and executed, got the results, and then it becomes a really obvious decision. Well, I will go do Brian's thing because he got me from 0 to 25K a year. Maybe he can get me from 25 to 75. Maybe he can get me from 50 to 100 in terms of whatever business model they decide to do. So it's all about win-win-win. And that's what we were talking about in terms of the stool. We're like, right, we've got the stools from the paperwork to the experience to the business coaching, but also the win all around. City Gym wins and you win. I win from this in terms of getting in people who will be working with me over the next several years, and the people who are qualified get everything that they need to be successful in this if it's what they want to do full-time or part-time. I also want to ask, I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask it. Module 11 was my favorite one. I ran through the module briefly. The energy system development. I love energy systems. So it's like science and application of energy systems, energy system development, testing aerobic fitness and heart rate zones. I love that. That's my massive area of interest personally and professionally to a degree. Can people jump straight into different modules, or do they have to come through it linearly?
It's linearly, unfortunately, yeah, because it builds on itself the whole way through.
Talk about the importance of that. And I intentionally chose my favorite model because when I'm going through energy systems, I can do that as a trainer who's qualified over the last few years. But if you do energy systems without having done coaching science or without having done basic physiology, energy systems don't make sense because the learning is layered and linear. Explain the importance about coming through it in that style.
Yeah, so it's kind of crawl, walk, run.
Yeah.
You need the base information on what's going on in the body and the different systems in the body before you can go to that. It's funny you brought that one up as well. That's a major part of the in-person graduation weekend, where they come up with unbelievable analogies on how to explain it and explain it really simply. But even with them simple analogies, unless you know the background first, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
You need to learn to walk before you can run. So like the way it's built is very, very good, and it keeps it challenging and it keeps it interesting. That's the big part of the way the content runs.
Brilliant. And the last thing I want to wrap on, just to paint the bigger picture, that's the course covered. You've gone through the experience side. The business builder with me is going to be a full day event. The first one I think is the 16th of August, which some will be listening to this after that. So the next one will be in November at some point, and the dates will be, you'll be given plenty of time in advance so that you're able to book off that day or arrange to come down, etc., wherever you are. And each business builder is going to be unique and different because we're going to be, as I mentioned at the top of the podcast, getting input from that cohort, meaning that I'm not going to rock up with, I'm touching on this, this, and this, and just listen to me speak. It's going to be right, tell me what you're struggling with, because every business, every person based on background is going to be different. We'll have core things we're going to run through, because business models in terms of the funnel systems and lead generations are always going to be the same. Offline, online, in terms of what apps to use and how to use it, will be largely the same. But being able to interact and sending questions before, being able to interact on the day and ask questions specifically, is you're going to get your business plan that you know, right, when I'm ready to get up and running, whether I've qualified now and game through the graduation or I'm about to qualify soon, I know exactly what I need to do in a business setup and a business side. That's a very important side of it. So people know, and my goal as the business coach on this is that people know, well, this is what you need to do. Now you might need other accountability, and we'll talk about other things that we'll add in, whether it's WhatsApp or things that just allow people to kind of stay on track, or whether it's self-accountability between other people that are in the cohort. We can talk about that down the line, because we'll see when this is up and running fully what exactly is working. Before we get into the booking link, which I will link so people can hop on the call, they can talk on that, is there anything else, Bestie, you want to run them through? Anything else they need to know about either the course, the day when they sign up, what they need to know when they're booking on the call? Anything else you want to add on that? Or are you happy with that in terms of the course setup and what people are getting on the 3 legs of the stool?
Just to go back to what you were saying about the business builder weekend, when I explained that to the clients that are going through it now, it made it that they were excited about it. So rather than the analogy I was thinking of, if you get put into a class in a gym and everybody has to do a circuit and it's all the same, there's no different. I know you can put more weight on for some people, but there's different skill levels and it's not very bespoke. But when I chatted to the clients that are going through it currently, and I said, Brian's going to send you a questionnaire, see whether you're going from 0 to 1 client, from 1 to 10, 10 to 100. They got really excited about the fact that it is going to be bespoke and custom to them, and they're buzzing for it, because it's not cookie cutter, one size fits all. It's really specific to them, which is why it made it even more interesting for the people that are going through the course that aren't going to become personal trainers, who still want to come to the day to learn them skills and knowledge for themselves in case they ever want it. And that, I think, another part of it which was really important was the fact that we're doing this exclusively together. There's no buying just the paperwork off the Galway City Gym. It's a full package. And same with you. If they want to get that day with you, they have to do it with us together as a program. People are loving that as well. It's really, really lighting people up. And when it comes to booking it, the calls with me are, I'm not salesy.
You're great. Yeah. You have a great. People probably gathered from the way you're speaking now. You come from a place of service, which I love. It's actually one of the things that attracts me to this whole collaboration in the first place. Is you ask people, look, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? It's not buy the course, which I love.
Yeah, that's it. The calls with me in any capacity are not salesy. I'm not a salesy person. I'm quite good at sales. It's one of the things I do very well.
Selling from a place of service is different to being a pushy salesperson.
100%.
Yeah.
So I'm just interested in having conversations, and if it's a good fit, it lights me up. And as you go win win win, then I'm happy to kind of go, yeah, let's do it. Do you know? But apart from that, jump on the call. There's nothing to lose. We can have a chat. We can see where you're at. It might not be now. It might be 6 months' time. It might be a year's time. But the way that it's built with jumping in and out of the content, even for something for yourself to build on your own training. I think 50% of the people that went through the last group have no intention of training people, but are avid trainers themselves and wanted to learn more about what they've been doing. There's 2 people in their 60s that went through it. And they train, and they've always trained. And they've kind of friends have been asking them, oh, you're in great shape, and how do you do this? And all they really wanted was the reassurance of having that bit of paper and running through the knowledge that they already knew. But just that piece of paper to kind of go, oh, I can tell my friend this is how it's done. And they'll never need to rely on a coach again, unless they need complete accountability for some other form of, whatever a goal they're setting. But from their own day-to-day training, they've learned more about nutrition, they've learned more about training, they've gained a cert. And it's all of this is the wider spread. When these coaches qualify, how many people are they going to help? And it just spreads out from there. It's all about the wider numbers of what's going to happen with this.
I see. Couldn't agree more. I very excited for this. This is something we're going to be doing for the next several years together, because it makes so much sense from my side. And as you mentioned, the exclusivity, this, but I'll say it publicly, I've been asked to do several of these with personal training qualifications, some actually locally enough. And I was like, it's not a fit. It's like there's a disconnect here or a misalignment. Not that there's anything wrong with those courses, but there wasn't a fit. What I loved about what you were doing, the first and foremost, was the experience for people, bringing them in, but also how you approach it. That it's coming from a place of service, and it's coming from a place of trying to give people everything so that they can succeed and build the model that way. I have a little bit of an ick to just sell everybody. Sell everybody. And there was a bit of a disconnect with a couple of other courses when it came to that. I'm like, look, I respect that that's what you're doing. That's not my model. That's not my business. That's not my personality. I don't like that. I like to, and I'm the first, you've seen me sell. When I'm selling from a place of service and I think people need it, I'm the first one to be like, you need this. This is going to change your life in a beneficial way. But I'm also the first one to be like, look, you don't need this. You don't need me. You don't need the program. You don't need the course. This isn't a fit, or I'm not the fit. And when you're able to come at a place like that, it ends up filtering down to the people you bring into the course. And that makes you a better business person. It makes you a better personal trainer. It arguably makes you a better person in life in general. And that's why it's so important that all these courses, although give you something similar, they're not all created equal. The people that are running them, the people that are working through them, the people that you're being exposed to in a positive or negative way are going to influence how you become as a coach and how you are as a business person. And that's why I think selecting something like this, it'll be square pegs into square holes. People will listen to this podcast and go, that's the one I need, whether it's right now or in the near future or far future. The same way as some will listen and go, actually, I thought I might do a personal training course. I don't think that's going to be for me. I'm happy to do what I'm doing now. That's amazing too. What we're trying to do is magnetize people. I'm pull marketing, not push marketing. Pull people to you, magnetize people to you based on the offer and people thinking, I need that. That sounds amazing. If that's you off the back of this podcast, please click on the link. You can book in a call, talk to Jason. If you've got any family members or friends or boyfriends or girlfriends or husbands or wives, you're like, actually, I think they'd love that. Pass it on to them. Just share this podcast with them or share the link with them, and they know that they're going to be in good hands all the way around. Bestie, thank you so much for this conversation. I know it's going to help a lot of people with making the decision one way or the other. So yeah, excited to get it out there.
Thanks, Brian.
That was Jason Best and I talking about the Level 4 Personal Training Qualification, Gym Experience and Full Day Business Builder, the only program in Ireland, the only one that I'm linked in with. And the link for that course is in the description below. If you want to check it out, if you want to pass it on to any family members or friends, or if you have any questions on that, you can actually pop me an Instagram DM, or you can just pop Bestie the link with the details for a call. He'll hop on. You can see if it's a fit for you. And again, looking forward to meeting everyone that's already signed up in August, and then the next Business Builder with me will be in November, and then every quarter from 2026 onwards. So very, very excited to meet everybody that signs up off the back of listening to this podcast or seeing it on my social media. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you real soon.